This week on Quality Digest Live, we examine the importance of accreditation in the auditing process.
Plus, what's an EQMS and why is it important? We'll find out when we come back.
This week's sponsor of Quality Digest Live is Intertech. Learn about device classification, technical documentation, and quality systems requirements for medical device manufacturers in 4 of the world's largest markets. Visit intertech.com.
Welcome back to Quality Digest Live for November 16th, 2012. QDL is your weekly look at who and what is making the news in the world of quality. I'm Dirk Ducharme, Editor-in-Chief of Quality Digest.
And I'm Quality Digest publisher Mike Richmond. Okay, our first news item this week comes to us from the American Society for Quality. And I was actually at the American Society for Quality.
Yes, you were. You spoke there, didn't you?
At the Houston section of the ASQ last week. I had a great time with the folks down there. So earlier this month, the ASQ announced the launch of a brand new survey, the Global State of Quality Research Study. The results of the report will be unveiled at ASQ's World Congress on Quality and Improvement, which will be held in May 2013 in Indianapolis this year. The purpose of the research is to help organizations across the world benchmark successful quality initiatives, tools, techniques, methodologies, and systems, all of which will be analyzed to determine the absolute best practices in quality today. Now, the project is being released in conjunction with World Quality Month, which, of course, is acknowledged every November. The ASQ is partnering on this project with the American Productivity and Quality Center. So this really is very much needed, Dirk. I'll tell you why it's very much needed. Because especially for organizations that are really just beginning their quality journey, there really isn't one kind of source, one compendium of best practices, of benchmarking, where you can go and you can learn about what the options are, what other organizations have done that maybe are further along in their quality journey than you are, and help you understand what you can and shouldn't, what you can and cannot maybe be doing. The other reason I like this, and the other reason I think it's important, is because it really doesn't focus on any one particular methodology or method. There's no dogma involved in this, as I understand how they're going to be doing this. They're doing what we always talk about, and that we think our users always appreciate, which is they're looking at tools. They're looking at things that work and why they work and how they work for organizations across the world.
With no particular agenda.
With no particular agenda. They don't have they're not coming into conclusion, I don't think. I mean, the survey, again, is going to be released in May, so we'll see. We'll see what happens, what comes of it. But the notion here is that this is intended to support World Quality Month, and it's intended to help those, again, that are, wherever they are in their quality journey, have a better sense of what they should be doing and where they should be going. And this is going to be a really good, I think, a really good treasure trove of information.
And the survey's due out when?
The survey will be due out in May, in time for the WCQI.
The actual survey results.
The survey results. It's just launching now.
Okay, gotcha.
But it'll be released in May in time for the WCQI in Indianapolis this year in May.
Okay, it'll be interesting to see those results.
We will see it.
Okay, well, for all of you programmers, mathematicians, and geeks working in related fields, have your parents ever shook their head and say, why couldn't you have been a doctor?
Why couldn't you have been a doctor?
Like your brother Tommy. You got that, right?
Or a lawyer.
Or a lawyer.
Anything.
You've gotten that, right?
Not a publisher.
Not a publisher. Why couldn't you have been like your brother and manage a health food store?
Something reputable, a garbage man, anything.
Anything.
Washroom attendant, you name it.
Well, this story's for you. Computational medicine is a fast-growing method of using computer models and software to figure out how disease develops and how to thwart it. It's finally landing in the hands of doctors. Researchers have begun to use both experimental and clinical data to build computer models that can unravel complex medical problems. A review of the field of computational medicine, or computation medicine, appears in the October 30 issue of Science Translational Medicine. It was written by 4 Johns Hopkins professors affiliated with the university's Institute for Computational Medicine. So there's a whole new community of people being trained in mathematics, computer science, and engineering, and they are being cross-trained in biology as well. So it's kind of crossing over these two fields. And this is according to the Institute for Director Raymond Winslow. And he says this allows them, this new group of engineers and computer software scientists, allows them to bring a whole new perspective to medical diagnosis and treatment. Engineers already traditionally construct models of systems, and we've talked about, you've got computational fluid dynamics, and you've got all sorts of 3D analysis and all these tools that deal with making models. So now all they're doing is, says Winslow, is that they are designing, in our case, computational models of what we are trying to study, which is disease. So a couple things that computational medicine has accomplished. Computational anatomy uses medical images to detect changes in the shape of various structures in the brain. Researchers have found that shape changes appear to be associated with Alzheimer's. Computational models of electrical activity in the heart are on their way to being used to guide doctors in preventing sudden cardiac death and in diagnosing and in treating those for risk of it. So it's kind of a nice blending of mathematics and engineering and the world of medicine.
Yeah, and this is good stuff, because this is really using the tools of this trade to do some real good for the world, right?
Absolutely.
Within the framework of medicine. Great stuff. Okay.
Cool stuff.
Well, I have an interesting article this week, Dirk, that I wanted to talk about from one of our newest regular columnists, Umberto Tunisi. Yes, Umberto Tunisi. And Umberto is our European correspondent.
Yes.
He gives us the latest news and quality from Europe. And
he's not opinionated at all.
No, he's a very, very neutral guy. The article, as you just saw a moment ago, is called "Is Accredited Certification Really Value Added?" That's, of course, by Umberto Tunisi, and appeared in Tuesday's issue of Quality Digest Daily. So, as Dirk, as you indicated, Umberto's not a controversial guy. He never wants to ruffle any feathers or shake up the waters, but he in this case is taking on this idea of
accreditation for registrars.
Of accreditation for registrars. And of course, as maybe as many of you know, the way the system works currently is that if you want to get accredited as a registrar, you need to work with one of these ABs, accreditation bodies, who then will accredit you in your systems.
Right.
And will audit you in your systems to make sure that you're up to snuff and what you're doing is legit, and you're helping your customers. So it's kind of like...
And I think that last key bit we shouldn't gloss over.
No.
The idea is that the registrar is being accredited to make sure that they're giving value
to their customer. Right. And this is the heart of the question that Umberto is getting to here is there value? Is there value to an accredited registrar versus kind of any registrar, right? I mean,
non-accredited, right.
What a non-accredited registrar. And you know, Umberto actually feels at the tail end of his piece, he says that maybe there is some things that non-accredited registrars can do that maybe those that are accredited can't. And maybe there's a little more freedom there. And depending on what industry you're in and what you need your registration or certification for, that may or may not work. But I think he raises a fair point. I think what he's saying is he's approaching this from the perspective of value. Because it's very expensive. These, just having audits and being registered to a standard as an end user is expensive. If you are going to be an accredited registrar, that's very expensive too.
Right, and it should be pointed out, being, as we've heard from registrars, getting their accreditation from their accreditation body, say in the United States it's ANAB.
ANAB.
That's expensive for them, so obviously they're going to pass that, they have to pass that cost on, their accreditation cost, they have to pass that on to their customer, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
So an accredited registrar is most likely going to charge more than a non-accredited registrar.
And this is what this is, again, this is the heart of the issue, is that worth it? Is it worth it for the customer, the end user, to say, well, hey, my registrar is accredited by ANAB. Now, certainly that you think that there's value there, but again, it depends what you're doing. It depends what industry that you're in. There's a couple of interesting quotes. I always love articles in which there's good quotes, good comments.
We actually got two really good ones.
We got two really good long ones. One of which I'm going to read a portion of to you now from Grant Ravali and a response from Umberto, and I'm going to read that to you right now. And it goes like this. This is from Grant Ravali, and he writes, "I think accredited certification is wholly underutilized by industry. Consider this. Two of the largest multilateral recognition agreements in the world reside with the International Accreditation Forum, IAF, and also the International Laboratory Accreditation Corporation, ILAC. Their perspective is that credible certification provides confidence that leads to mutual recognition. In effect, we get one certification that is accepted everywhere. There are 190 plus countries in the world, many of which are rapidly modernizing their systems for managing quality and regulatory compliance. The IAF and ILAC work constantly to maintain a high bar in credible certification, which is increasingly essential to world trade. We need our certifications accepted everywhere. This cannot be achieved without the added credibility of accredited certifications. This is not something we can trust the certification bodies to do in the absence of oversight from the accreditation bodies, the ABs." And that was Grant Ravali who wrote that.
Right.
Now, Umberto responded to that in his own inimitable way. And if we could just flash up Umberto's response to that. The point is, even just one rotting apple makes the whole basket go sour. I love that. Right. And I can almost hear the Italian. The point is, one rotting apple. Or maybe that's Transylvania. I don't know. I don't know. My accents are pretty bad. I know IAF, of course, and I know that IAF is too far away from the daily routine of both registrars and accreditation bodies. We are all humans. We should strive not for perfection, but for consistency and coherence. Good point. Isn't statistical process control all about stable, predictable processes? Umberto Tunisi. So the point here, and what was referenced there in that quote, was the idea that is there value? And how do you ensure that the human element here is honored, right? Because it's not about, as Umberto writes there, it's not about perfection, it's about having stable processes, right? And this whole idea is a really complicated one. The idea of how ABs work with CBs and what the end user needs to know about that is I think, in a large measure, I don't understand a lot of it. I mean, I look at these various bodies, and we read a lot of this stuff every day, and we try to make sense of it, and it's confusing. It's very often.
I think it boils down to this. I think the point that Umberto was making was that I don't think he says accreditation is necessarily bad. I think he says it doesn't often go far enough. And in fact, sometimes it falls under the same trap that of a company being registered, the value that a registrar gives a company. And sometimes registrars give good value to a company because they're able to point out to them where their process could be improved without giving consulting. Remember, that's one of the constraints for registrars is they can't consult.
And he mentions that
as well. And he mentions that, which can be good or bad. But sometimes the accreditation body does the same thing. Is sometimes they just tell the registrar, pass or fail, so to speak, without giving added value. And that's a problem in itself, too. So this kind of argument goes round and round. I think Grant's argument is really valid. One of the nice things about accreditation with an accredited certification body, a CB, is that the mutual recognition agreements that go across basically worldwide.
And it levels that. It levels that playing field.
A non-accredited registrar doesn't have that. So if you get accredited, and this is one of the arguments, obviously, that accredited registrars will make, you can get accredited by certified by a non-accredited registrar.
Anybody, sure.
But will that registration be accepted elsewhere? If you don't care, if you just want a cert, well, you can practically go out and buy one. Sure. Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the way it works. And there's another good comment here, and I wanted to mention that by Randy Doherty as well.
Randy Doherty, head of ANAB.
Head of ANAB, commented on this, a really good, like a 500-600 word response to this.
Yeah, and we're going to try to get him on the show, too.
We'll try to get him on the show, but I want to encourage everybody to read that comment. That was a little lengthy for me to get into too much in this forum, but go and read the whole article, read the comments. Grant Ravali had a good comment. Randy Doherty had an excellent comment, and check that out and give it some thought, because this is a good issue. I'm glad Umberto raised this issue, because I think we need to be kind of having this in the conversation. Okay, well, we're going to move from that to a related issue: enterprise quality management systems.
That's right. Our next, exactly.
You had a good piece.
Enterprise quality management. Our next guest is going to give us a slightly different spin on risk management. It's the risk caused by not being able to close your quality books, as it were, in a timely fashion. So what do I mean? If you look at the figure showing here, I think we have a slide for this. It compares the average days to close for financial systems using an ERP versus two types of quality systems, a regular QMS and an enterprise QMS. And by close the books, and we'll get into this in a little bit, we mean to gather all the quality data together, as you might financial data, in order to get a quarterly snapshot of the company's state of quality. Companies have gotten very fast in closing their financials. Days, maybe a week. They can do that every quarter. But companies that are using, let's say, an ad hoc, disconnected quality management system can take 3 to 5 weeks to close their quality books. That inability to evaluate the state of quality quickly puts company shareholders at great risk. And here to talk about that is Mike Cudemo, Director of Sparta Systems Customer Success Program, and the author of this week's article, Accelerating Quality Outcomes with an EQMS. Hi, Mike.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, how are you doing today?
Good.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us on the show. Well, we only have time for, I think, probably a couple of quick questions. I want to get to really kind of two definitions. Quickly, I haven't really heard about this. Obviously, I understand that companies will roll up their financials every quarter. I've never heard of companies, and I've never worked for a large company, where they roll up or do a data analysis of their quality management system quarterly. Can you just tell us really quickly what that's about?
Sure. Every company basically rolls up the state of quality to some degree or another, but it's not done in this, in a similar way that financials do. So, if you will, it's just very simple. They just they try to get everything from disparate systems. They put them into Excel spreadsheets. They then convert it to PowerPoint. And there's typically a quality meeting at the end of a month or the end of a quarter. But one of the big things is one of our customers had said one time, "I've never been in a quarterly meeting where we haven't questioned our metrics," right? And so you look at that malaise, if you will, how long it takes to understand the state of quality against a product, against a business unit, against a department. It's they don't use the same terminology that they use in the financial systems, days to close. And so when it's 5 or 6 days to close your financial books, you know very quickly your state of the business, so you can report to the Securities and Exchange Commission. Well, the bottom line is, by not being able to assess your state of quality against your product lines, your lines of business, your brand image, it puts you at financial risk.
Well, let's get to that. So where does this risk come from? If it's taking you, I think you say in your article, maybe 3 to 5 weeks to roll up your quality books and get your quality report out, what's the risk in that? I mean, why is that dangerous for companies?
It's dangerous because there's a material risk in financial accounting. They'll basically say, if we report financial performance and there's a mistake, we have to go back to Wall Street and restate our earnings. Well, not understanding your state of quality, where there could be a recall or potential quality issues, basically causes a cost in the books that could be a material financial risk. As a result, by not being able to, again, companies are very proud about the fact that they can roll up their financials very quickly. The CFO is very proud of that. But likewise, if you compare the rolling up the state of quality at taking 3 to 5 weeks, what we're basically saying is that our state of financial, we understand what what we booked in sales, all the risks that we have from what we know. But if there's a large recall looming and we can't, if we have to restate our financial earnings as a result of that disparity between how quickly we can roll up finances versus rolling up quality, that big differential effectively for a CFO is an incredible amount of risk, especially if you're a large, multi-billion-dollar company that operates on a global basis. We mentioned about earlier, 90 countries, the world is a growing place. We have emerging markets, but everyone wants the same brand quality regardless of where it's made or sold.
Okay. And just real quickly here, I think you said this is a situation that seems to exist more in companies that have disparate or ad hoc quality systems as opposed to those where their quality system is integrated across the company.
That's true. Hey, there are about 10% or less of companies where they have enterprise quality management. Every company has a quality system. How they implement that quality system, the tools. So back in the late 90s, we had lots of different ERP systems. In fact, today we have companies with 70 ERP systems. So they're struggling, some of them, right? But they still focus on that control. As we moved to SAP and Oracle in the 2000s, the fast close, which is a white paper by Oracle, the idea is that speed. Fewer people have to touch the numbers to generate the outcome or know what the outcome is. Likewise, in quality today, there are hundreds of data sources to pull together the state of quality, and hence it takes 3 to 5 weeks. And as we all know in manufacturing, the more hands that touch something, it's almost like it creates delay, quality issues, and effectively it's assessing your state of quality by driving through a rearview mirror.
Okay. Well, Mike, thanks for joining us today. That's about all we have time for right now, but we're actually going to be touching bases with you in the future, aren't we? That's
right, a couple of days. That's right. So thanks, Mike, for joining us. We will see you on Tuesday because we're going to be doing a webinar with you and the Sparta team at that point. So we'll encourage everybody out there to join us then, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Mike. All right. Well, yes, as I mentioned, we're going to be doing a webinar with Mike Cudemo and the Sparta team. That'll be on Tuesday. That'll be on Tuesday the 20th of November, this Tuesday coming up at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And Mike Cudemo and Sparta and Dirk are going to be doing that webinar, so make sure you sign up for that. You can actually access that right below the player page right there. There's a sign-up link in the story, and you can sign up for it there. Okay, well, we're going to move on now to our Tech Corner for this week. Tech Corner from the Modal Shop. And the Modal Shop has given us a portable vibration calibration system.
That's right.
I think that's right. Okay, Dirk's going to be showing it to us right now. So Dirk, take it away.
All right. Okay, well, if many of you know that if you work around large machinery, let's say large turbines, for instance, or large web presses, one of the first indications that something might be going wrong is vibration. Vibration is really an early indicator in a lot of types of machinery that you might be having problems. And the earlier you can detect it, the better. So that's why very often in a lot of plants, they'll have some of these mounted. This is an accelerometer, a vibration sensor, mounted on their equipment across the plant. And they might monitor these 24/7, monitoring them to see if the vibration goes beyond a certain point. If it does, it may send off an alarm, and maybe that piece of equipment will be brought down and examined, and any maintenance done or repairs done before the vibration gets to the point where it causes damage or perhaps even injury. Now, the thing about vibration sensors, and there's a variety of them, this happens to be a small one, they kind of come in all shapes and sizes, is that they are precision pieces of measurement equipment. Therefore, they need to be calibrated. You want to make sure that the output of your vibration sensor corresponds to the input of the vibration going in. Otherwise, you don't really know what you have coming out of it, right? So what we're going to look at today is a vibration calibrator. And if we switch over to our camera here, this is the Model 9110D portable vibration calibrator from the Modal Shop. The Modal Shop is a Cincinnati company that does dynamic analysis, dynamic instrumentation, acoustic analysis, vibration, that type of thing, shock. And they also make these, what do they call them, excitation stations, or structural excitation stages, where for structural analysis you might put a large kind of structure on this, and structural engineers would look at the impact of vibration on a large structure. Very important. So let's take a look at this piece of equipment right here. This is the portable vibration calibrator. You can see it's very simple. We got our shaker stage over here on the left, an amplitude control, which just controls how fast, or I'm sorry, how strong a vibration we're getting into the sensor. The frequency of the vibration, that's this knob. And this knob over here is simply to control menu options. I'm going to show you how easy it is to do a calibration. So I'm going to take my sensor. I'm going to screw it into the shaker table. I'm going to be sure to use my backing wrench here. Now, normally when you put a sensor in, you would use a torque wrench. It's always important to torque the sensor onto the device using the recommended torque by the manufacturer. In our case, we're not going to worry about it because what we're doing here isn't really critical. Next thing, I'll just attach my signal cable from the sensor over into the input of the 9110, and we'll go ahead and power this up. The frequency button, frequency adjust also happens to be the power button. Once I power it up, I'm also going to install a flash memory stick because that's how we're going to get our data from the box back to our computer. I'll just go ahead and plug that in now. If I can do it the right way, there we go. Now, we're basically ready to start taking measurements. Now, you probably all have seen one of these. I'll hold this up to the camera. This happens to be the calibration certificate for this particular sensor. And on it is a little table. And I think we've got a slide of that table. On that table shows that this sensor has been calibrated as part of its procedure to 19 different frequencies from 10 hertz to 10 kilohertz. And that's basically what we're going to do right now, kind of a shortened version of that calibration. So if we come back to our 9110 here, you'll see on the left-hand corner here, I'm not sure if you can see it in your screen, we've got an adjustment for the amplitude. And I'm going to adjust this for 1G peak. Now, we do have the ability to use other units. This happens to be G's peak, there's G's RMS, meters per second squared, and probably half a dozen other type units. For this particular test, we're going to use G's peak, And I got my frequency adjust over here. I'm going to run this down to 10 hertz because that is the first test frequency that they do when they're calibrating this unit. Now you can see probably over here, you can see this is shaking up and down at 10 hertz. The output of the sensor is up here in the upper left. It's showing me 95.8 millivolts per G. I am now ready to capture that point. I simply come over here to my menu tool. I put in save point, and I save the point. I'm now ready to go to my next frequency. That's all there is to it. I'm going to go to 30 hertz, save a point, 50 hertz, save a point, 100 hertz, which also happens to be the reference frequency for this particular sensor and this particular test. Get it up to 100 hertz there. There we go. We dial that in. And I save that point, and so forth all the way up to 10K. Now, once I'm done, I want to save this particular test. So I'm going to go down here, and record. I press that. The record is now saved. All that data saved. I can optionally put in the model and the serial number for the sensor. I'm just going to skip that at this point. And that's all there is to it. This particular test is done. I can now move on to another sensor or another test, and we can go on from there. We can save up to 500 records, 500 tests in the 9110 before we have to transfer the data out. So let's say at the end of the day, we've done all our calibration, we're ready to move on. We want to now collect all that data. So I'm going to go into my Tools menu. I'm going to select USB. First thing it's going to do, it's going to go out and it's going to initialize and read my USB drive. Once it's done with that, I'm ready to transfer my data. I can say, move all my records. I'm going to select that. Now all the data is now transferred from the 9110 into my flash drive. And there we go. So with the flash drive, all of the data from the 9110 is now stored in here in CSV format. Now, what I mean everything, I mean all the data points collected during the day for all the records, all the test parameters for the test, as well as information on the 9110 that was used to do that calibration. So on here is everything anybody needs to know about that particular test. All the points, all the data, date and time stamps, and the particular unit. I take this over to my laptop, I plug it in, it's a CSV file, I can open it up in Excel or any other program that reads CSV, I'm ready to go. But what's really cool is the Modal Shop has written a slick little Excel macro. It's really simple, but it allows you to very easily create a calibration record on any of those records if you want to do that. Or like I said, it's a CSV file, bring it into your own calibration management software and do measurement analysis if that's what you need to do. That was it. That basically is the demo of how you use this to measure, to calibrate a device. But there's a couple other things I want to show you because I think these are particularly important. I'm going to go back into my Tools menu. Go down here to Options. Obviously, I can set date and time for the machine. But calibration interval. Something pretty cool about what they've done here. Obviously, calibration interval, I can set that to what I want by default. It's set to 12 months. And I can change that if I want. But if I go, well, I'll show you something else here in a second. But what's important about this is that a month before the calibration due date, anytime you power up the 9110, it's going to tell you you're due for calibration. Your calibration is a month out or whatever. So once you get within a month, you will be constantly reminded every time you power it up that you're getting close to your due date. So you should never have an excuse for skipping calibration on this. The other thing, this is a NIST traceable calibrator. If I want to see all my NIST traceability data, I simply go to the traceability screen and I get a nice little display here that shows everything about my NIST traceability since the, based on the last calibration for this device. Finally, we talked about here that I was actually looking at an accelerometer. This is a piezoelectric device. Modal Shop calls it an ICP. Others in the industry would call it an IEPE. We can also look at velocity transducers and also proximity sensors. There's a very cool little device that mounts to this that also lets you calibrate proximity sensors. So pretty much any kind of vibration calibration you need to do, you can do on this. By the way, battery operated. I'm running on battery right now, up to 18 hours operation on a charge. What's nice about that and why this was designed is you can take this out to the shop floor. You can do your calibration on the shop floor. You no longer have to take your sensors out, send them out for cal, wait for them to come back. Meanwhile, your machine is down. Or you have to store a bunch of extra sensors so you can swap out your sensors when you send them out for cal. You simply take this out right to the shop floor, remove your sensor, calibrate it in a few minutes, you can plug it back in, really helping reduce the amount of machine downtime. So once again, this is the 9110. Portable vibration calibrator from the Modal shop. By the way, we're really happy to get this. It isn't even on the market yet. We're one of the first to be able to demo this. And thanks again to Modal shop for sending it to us. As I said, due out next month. There we go. That's it.
All right. Well, thanks, Dirk. Thank you, the Modal shop, for sending us the 9110D portable vibration calibrator. Again, it's Modal shop. You can see their website right there. And a really good TechCorner. Dirk, I think you did an excellent job there, if I do say so myself.
I crammed a lot of words into 8 minutes.
You got a lot of stuff in there. Yes. Well, it's a good piece of equipment.
Yeah,
really,
it is.
Really
Well, it's fun. We really like getting these equipment ahead of time and being able to play with them before anybody else does. So really thank Modal shop for doing that for us.
Thank you, the team at Modal shop. And another thank you. We want to thank our sponsor of the show, Intertech. Regulatory authorities in most major markets require or strongly prefer that manufacturers marketing medical products in their countries have a third-party audited and certified quality management system in place. Intertech can help you take your device to the next level. To learn more, visit www.intertech.com/5-step-market-approval-medical-devices, or simply click on the banner edges below
That would be
just
simpler.
to the right of the video play. I like to read the URLs.
Yeah.
I like to say
the longer the better.
You know, I mean, what the heck? I like to make sure we give value. So thank you to Intertech for sponsoring. Thank you to the Modal shop for a great TechCorner product, and to Umberto and Mike Cudemo.
Mike Cudemo for showing up. I appreciate that talk with him. That's right. Be sure to sign up for that registrar if you want to see how risk management and quality management systems are related. They are very tightly related. You want to attend that webinar.
And that's right below as well. You can register through the article, I believe, on the...
I don't think it's on the player page, but it will be on the on-demand player when that comes up.
Yeah, but you can access through the article too.
Actually, if you click on the article, there's a registration link.
You can register out to that. And again, the webinar is next Tuesday, the 20th of November at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. So look out for that.
That's right. Well, thanks for joining us again for another great QDL. I think it was great.
I think it was great.
We can congratulate ourselves. All right. And we'll see you again next week.
See ya. Bye.